Picture it. Egypt, 1290 BC. High priest Imhotep and his future bride Ankh-Su-namun are killed and buried in the city of the dead, only to be resurrected in 1926 by a group of Egyptologists and archaeologists. Brendan Fraser had a great 90s decade. He rose to prominence alongside Pauly Shore in Encino Man, Son-in-Law, and In the Army Now. He played a stoner in Airheads, a baseball player in The Scout, was George of the Jungle, played a guy trapped in an underground bunker for 35 years in Blast from the Past alongside Alicia Silverstone, and he was the Indiana Jones wannabe Rick O'Connell in The Mummy. And that was just about half of his 90s movies. Fraser kind of took a similar path as Keanu Reeves. He started as a heartthrob and turned into an action star. Now, rumor has it that Fraser was cast in The Mummy because he has a similar look and charm as Errol Flynn, the great movie star of the 1930s and 1940s. The first thing you notice watching The Mummy 25 years later is that the CGI is pretty not good. The Egyptian landscapes look like an early 3D video game. The CGI of the mummy and other creatures is much better. It's still not great, but it's good enough. And even though there is a lot of CGI in this movie, there's also a lot of cool practical shots and sets. The standout for me was in the scene where we are introduced to librarian and Egyptologist Evelyn, played by Rachel Weisz. The scene takes place in a library and several shelves do their best impersonation of dominoes. The scene is all done in one take. Something about having to spend an entire day cleaning up after a shot if it doesn't work just makes it that much more thrilling. Now, even if the CGI hasn't aged well, most of the sets actually look great, as do the costumes and the hairstyles. Everything looks believably like it takes place in 1926. Well, everything except Rachel Weisz's eyebrows, which scream late 1990s. You can't have a good action movie without a good bad guy, and Arnold Vosloo as Imhotep is excellent. He just has that look and presence that you want and need in a bad guy in a movie like this. The Mummy is trying its best to capture the wit and charm of Indiana Jones, and while it definitely feels like it's trying a bit too hard to recapture that magic, it somehow doesn't feel like a knockoff. It's fun and exciting, and Brendan Fraser is so charismatic, it is not hard to see why he was such a big movie star 25 years ago. Much like Indiana Jones, this movie is full of fighting and gunshots and things that sure don't feel like they would be family friendly, but they kind of end up being family friendly. My love for this movie may just be nostalgia talking, because when The Mummy came out, I absolutely loved it. In fact, it was the very first DVD that I ever bought. I would love to know what younger audiences who didn't see this movie at an impressionable age think of it today. It isn't an all-time classic like Indiana Jones, but it is still a great way to spend 2 hours. And I know I'm not the only one that thinks that because of the fact that this killer bumper sticker actually exists. Dusty explosions, white kitty cats, pouring sand through a keyhole, running from thousands of beetles, treasure maps,